Good afternoon and good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and Coffee Stream episode 368. I hope everyone had a good weekend and is having a good Monday. And I am here at the normal time, thankfully, because my mom is. Oh, excuse me. My mom is helping out with schooling for the oldest one. So he is with her right now. So we are able to do a coffee stream at the normal time. Hello to Grillin' Pirate Pete. Glad you're here. So today, this morning, when I was signing Alex in for school, we we were treated to a wonderful lesson about the American civil rights movement. For some reason, they're teaching that to Canadian first graders. Oh my god! Stop yawning. Okay, and they were also talking about Martin Luther King and how in those days the people with white skin were not nice to people with black skin. And Martin Luther King was a man who protested peacefully, and in the civil rights movement, they fought with protests and words, and never with violence. This is I'm quoting from what they were teaching the first graders. Hello, Gunfox. Hello, Costin. And so they were, and this teacher was basically glossing over the civil rights movement, trying to explain abstract concepts to 6-year-olds about what it means to be peaceful. And instead of giving a basic, a basic bare bones definition of peace, like from the dictionary, she gave a subjective definition of peace, and then wanted the students to draw a picture of themselves being peaceful and write a sentence about it. And she, and you could tell the kids were confused as hell. Like, this one kid was asking why were white people mean to other people before? It's like, oh my god. Like, yes, we were, it was, and then he said, why did Martin Luther King save the world? And it's like, oh man. Right? Grillin' Pirate Pete? Exactly. We should be learning about Canadian civil rights issues. We should be learning about the Native treatment. And we should be teaching it to 6-year-olds in 6-year-old terms. And not confusing the shit out of the 6-year-olds. So, needless to say, Pincolo and I were talking on the phone. I was telling him about this. And we were talking on the phone about it, and we decided that Alex was going to not do school this morning because they had gotten to about an hour on this thing, and it was like, okay, holy shit. Like, and I didn't. Teachers are evil. And right, oh my god, Ryan, you're so right. I hate how people treat kids these days like chalkboards to scribble their propaganda BS. Kids should come to their own conclusions. Yes, Ryan. Yes. Um we were very unhappy this morning. I composed an email to the teacher explaining that I felt that it was not I felt that the concepts that were being taught were way too abstract, and a revisionist, um, and that we should be learning about the students should be learning about Canadian civil rights issues instead of another country's civil rights issues. Because we know damn good and well that Americans don't learn about Canadian civil rights problems, so why are we learning about theirs? Yeah, school choice for parents is important. Teacher unions do make schools fail. This is I was really angry this morning. Um because they were basically teaching white guilt to a bunch of 6-year-olds. Um it was sad. Yeah, exactly, Diana. You barely learned about your own. You don't learn about other countries. Why are we teaching? We need exactly, Ryan. If they have questions, answer them in a way that they can make their minds up. Exactly. Exactly. So that's what happened to me this morning. I had to pull my kid out of morning classes because I just was not having that. And quite frankly, this is why I don't have him wearing headphones at home, so that I can hear what they're teaching him. And I'm glad that I did that because holy shit, that was insane. I'm wow, I'm still upset. Yeah, it's it's crazy. I was so upset. And what's worse is that now I'm probably going to get labeled as a racist because I want my kid to learn properly about civil rights issues and civil rights issues within his own country. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to be labeled a racist because I pulled my kid out of class because he was being taught revisionist history and being taught it in a way that he has no concept of what was going on. And it wasn't even his own country's civil rights problems. It and it sucks. But you know what? I'd rather be labeled a racist for protecting my kids and teaching them properly than deal with my like have my kids learn this crap. Cuz do I want him to learn about civil rights? Absolutely. Do I want him to learn it in a age appropriate fashion in a way that he'll understand? Yes. Do I want him to learn about his country's issues first and then other countries' issues later? Yes. I don't think that's unreasonable. So, yeah, that's my rant for the day. So, we are going to move on to some news. So, let's see here. My mom punched out a nurse who gave me too much oxygen when I was born. How fucked would a teacher have been if they tried this shit? Right? Exactly, Grill and Pirate Pete. How ironic is it that on the day that they're celebrating MLK, they're teaching people to judge people not on the content of their character, but by the color of their skin. Exactly. Exactly. So, we're gonna read this article from first, and then I have a YouTube video to watch, and then we have some more news to look at. So let's take a look here. What? Oh, okay, hold on. I need to be in StreamYard, please. And thank you. There we go. Share screen, please. Okay, so this is from, this is about Aaron O'Toole, the leader of the opposition of the Conservative Party. Oh, yes. Socialism is racism. That's fucked up, Ryan. Oh, yes, they were wonderful. Okay. Yes, close, please. Whatever that is, close it. When in doubt, hit the close button. Okay. Oh. Except I accidentally closed the thing I wanted. Okay. Let's try this again, shall we? That was special. That was super special of me. Okay. Let's quickly go and make sure the screen is shared. I can't believe I did that. Oh, usually it's an ad that I'm closing. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I will send you another DM. No place for far right in Conservative Party, Aaron O'Toole says. Probably because he was, accused of being collaborating with Nazis because he said one thing to Tommy Robinson. Okay, let's take a listen here. That is too quiet.
Ottawa, federal Conservative leader Aaron O'Toole pushed back against attempts to link his party to Trump-style politics on Sunday, saying there is no place for the far right in the Tories while accusing the Liberals of divisive dirty tricks.
Well, and Trump isn't even far right, really.
Link in a statement Sunday. O'Toole asserted his own views on such issues as abortion, gay rights and reconciliation with Indigenous people in Canada while insisting that his party is not beholden to right-wing extremists and hate-mongers. You are the Conservatives are a moderate, pragmatic, mainstream party, as old as Confederation that sits squarely in the center of Canadian politics, O'Toole said.
Yeah. That's basically what the progressive Conservatives are.
Free screen. Free. Heading level 2. List 3 items. Bullet link. End of list. Chrome link. Complete coverage on end of the list. My singular focus is to get Canada's economy back on track as quickly as possible to create jobs and secure a strong future for all Canadians. There is no place for the far right in our party. The unusual statement follows the riot on Capitol Hill, which U.S. President Donald Trump has been accused of inciting and which has since been held up as proof of the dangers posed by right-wing extremists to Western democracy.
But he didn't incite it, Oh my god. Anyone right of Stalin is now alt-right. Oh, that's right, I forgot.
It also comes on the heels of a Liberal Party fundraising letter sent to members last week that accused the Conservatives under O'Toole of continuing a worrisome pattern of divisive politics and catering to the extreme right.
How? By telling the truth about your ridiculous behavior, Liberal Party?
As one example, it cited the motto used by O'Toole's leadership campaign, Take Back Canada.
Yeah, from you. Not from anything other than Take Back Canada from the Liberal Party, who has sold it down the river.
It also referenced a photo that has been circulating of Conservative Deputy Leader Candice Bergen wearing a hat with Trump's slogan, Make America Great Again, and a since-deleted Tory website alleging the Liberals want to rig the next election.
A since-deleted website, okay.
O'Toole on Sunday condemned the Capitol Hill attack as horrifying and sought to distance himself and the Tories from Trumpism by touting his party's support for free and fair elections, the peaceful transfer of power and accountable government. To that end, he lashed out at the Liberals, referencing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's decision to prorogue Parliament last summer as hurting accountability, before turning the tables on the governing party and accusing them of using U.S.-style politics.
They are using U.S.-style politics. It may not be nice to hear, but they are.
If the Liberals want to label me as far right, they are welcome to try, O'Toole said. Canadians are smart and they will see this as an attempt to mislead people and import some of the fear and division we have witnessed in the United States.
Yep. Not to mention that they are now mudslinging and character assassinating, and the Conservatives have been very, very careful not to do that this time, which is a very smart move.
Former Conservative strategist Tim Powers, who is now chairman of Summa Strategies, believes O'Toole's team saw a gathering storm and felt the need to act to prevent the Liberals from painting the Conservatives as beholden to Trumpism.
Yep.
Such action was especially important ahead of what could be an extremely divisive week down in the U.S., where there are fears that Trump supporters and far-right actors will respond to Joe Biden's inauguration as president with violence. You are currently on a text.
Yeah, now there's fear that people will respond with violence. Where was that fear when all the riots were happening over the summer? Oh, but that violence was okay, right? No, he's not saying Americans are stupid. He's saying in the context that Canadians are smart, so they're not going to see through this move. He's not saying Americans are stupid.
Powers suggested it is also the latest act in O'Toole's effort to introduce himself to Canadians and redefine the Conservatives ahead of the next federal election, both of which have been made more difficult by COVID-19.
Yep.
And when Conservatives in caucus make statements or otherwise act counter to his stated positions, Powers said O'Toole will need to crush them and take them out to prove his convictions. Shuvalon Majumdar, who served as a policy director in Stephen Harper's government, welcomed O'Toole's statement while also speaking of the threat that events in the U.S. could pose to the Tories in Canada, particularly if the Liberals try to link them. O'Toole was accused during last year's Conservative leadership race of courting social conservatives who oppose abortion, among other issues. That raises questions about the degree to which he may anger the party's base by taking more progressive positions. You are currently...
The party's base doesn't care about shit like that anymore. Oh, let me fix that. Hold on. That's true, Ryan. That's true.
But Majumdar suggested many of the populist elements left the Tories for Maxime Bernier's People's Party of Canada, and that O'Toole is seeking to appeal to more voters by taking a broader view on social issues while sticking to the party's core economic positions.
Yep, that's exactly what he's doing, and he's doing a smart job of it. I may not like him very much. I may wish a different person was in charge, but I have to say, he's being pretty smart.
This report by the Canadian Press was first published January 17th.
So that's the end of that story. And speaking of Conservative members of Parliament, we are going to watch a YouTube video now called "The Joke's on You." and it is from Monsieur Poliev, who I think should actually be in the position of oppositional leader. Let's take a quick gander here at this video. Okay, let's get to the beginning of this video here. All right, voiceover back on.
Chat messaging, 12:29 p.m. Mass creation broadcasts. What kind of sense of humor do you have?
What do you mean, what kind of sense of humor do I have?
WR Costin. Don't forget to like and share. Custom.
I have a very glib, very sarcastic sense of humor. Come on. Okay. Here we go. Share screen.
Chat messaging, 12:30 p.m. Mass creation broadcasts. I see. 12:30 p.m. Streamlabs. Super cool. 12:29 p.m. Custom chat messaging. Chat publicly is live press. Ellipsis.
Here we go.
If big business and big government have an idea to fill their pockets at everyone else's expense without anyone understanding what they're up to, they have to give it a complicated new name. That name is quantitative easing. You asleep yet?
Yes.
Well, if you are, here's something that will wake you up. This idea will debase your earnings, it raise the price of everything you buy, and transfer tens of billions of dollars of wealth to the richest people in the country at the expense of everyone else.
I don't
Here's
like
the background. Bank of Canada is the financial agent of the government. When Trudeau runs massive deficits, it's the Bank of Canada that sells bonds and treasuries into the market so that lenders can lend by purchasing those treasuries and bonds. That's normal. It's been happening for years. It's how it's always been done. But something very different and unprecedented began in March, when the bank began buying back those same treasuries and bonds from the same people to whom it had sold them in the first place, but at a much higher price. Now, they told us that the reason they were doing it was just to unjam the seized up credit and capital markets that were all locked up along with the rest of the economy during the early stages of the COVID crisis. And that made sense. We couldn't very well have our markets seize in the middle of a pandemic or at any other time. But happily, markets returned to normal. Stock markets, bond markets, real estate markets all actually started to hit record highs.
Now, this guy, you may wonder how he knows so much about this. He is the finance guy in the Conservative Party. He was on the committee to examine where all the money went for the We charity scandal. He has been looking into the finances of the Liberal Party in their spending for a long time. And if the Conservatives get elected next time, I have a very strong feeling that he will be the finance minister for Canada.
Soon after this began. So with markets being normal, presumably the Bank of Canada could go back to normal, right? Wrong. In fact, this is where it gets very strange. The bank just kept on buying and buying until it had bought $400 billion worth of mostly government bonds and treasuries, flooding markets with all kinds of new and easy money. $400 billion is almost equal to the GDP that the economy produced in the time period when all of this money was flooding out. And the result? Well, those people who had financial assets saw those assets explode in value. In fact, the wealthiest 15 billionaires in Canada saw their net worth rise by 32% between April and October, even while the economy was cratering. Not only that, these transactions provided a huge opportunity for financial institutions to profit by outsmarting a very dumb transaction by the bank. The bank was effectively selling low and buying back high. Now imagine
That's
if you
stupid.
sold something for $100 at the beginning of the week and bought it back for $105 at the end of the week, well, you'd lose $5, and then the person on the other end of the transaction would make that $5. Well, that's what happened here, but only it was $400 billion of transactions that went back and forth. And as a result, they made more, and our bank, which you and I all own, lost that money on our behalf. Now, if
that's
these
awesome.
people are making all of this money without producing any additional product or service to justify it, then they must be leaving us all worse off. I mean, if the pie isn't getting any bigger and the Bank of Canada is giving a larger share of it to a smaller and smaller group of people, then everyone else is left with a smaller slice. So who are those people that are getting the smaller slice and losing out in these complex transactions? Well, I asked the governor of the Bank of Canada that question. Here's our exchange.
Let's move on now to the QE program, which is the massive purchase of government securities by the central bank. You said a moment ago that your bank actually sells these securities to the marketplace and then buys them right back from the same investors to whom you sold them. What is to stop an investor from profiting off the difference between the price of a government bond or treasury that you sell them and the price that you pay to buy them right back?
Good question.
Well, these are both of these are done in competitive auctions. The auctions are heavily oversubscribed. There's lots of bidders on both sides. So it's a competitive process.
Right.
And I think that should give you some assurance that
I have no doubt it's competitive, but you've stated that the purpose of quantitative easing is to drive up bond prices.
Yeah.
And so presumably you're paying more for the bond after you've increased its price through your actions than you sold it for. And the difference is profit to the investor that bought them from you and sold them back. And ultimately that cost has to fall on somebody's shoulders. Who actually pays that price?
Well, as I said, it's a competitive process. Yes, we are.
I love the big pause.
Exactly as you indicated. The way quantitative easing works is by buying the bonds. That creates more demand, which pushes up the price and lowers the yield. And that is how we're delivering monetary policy.
Notice how he didn't answer my question. The question was, who's paying for all of this profiteering? Somebody has to be paying. I mean, normally, profits are made because businesses delight customers with excellent products at excellent prices, but that's not what's been profiting the wealthiest during the pandemic. In fact, there have been less transactions and less economic activity from which to profit.
Yep.
They have been making money by the inflation of their asset values. The Bank of Canada is causing by printing and pumping all of this cash into the financial system. The wealthiest, in a sense, are laughing all the way to the Bank of Canada in this case. But somebody has to be paying for it all. I mean, what is the value of money? Money is simply worth the goods and services that you can buy out of the economy with that money. But if the goods and services in the economy have gone down, when a small group of people have seen the amount of money they have go way up, that means that everyone else must ultimately have less.
Yep.
So I asked, who is going to pay the price? Who suffers as a result of the debasement of our money
And nobody
and the
answered.
inflation of our goods and services?
Inflation is borne disproportionately by the less wealthy people. They tend to operate more in cash, and so they tend to disproportionately bear the cost of inflation.
You know, it's been said that nothing is new except what is forgotten. Quantitative easing sounds complicated and new. In fact, it's fairly simple and old. For thousands of years, kings, emperors, politicians have multiplied coins and printed money in order to pay their bills, always with the same result. The rich get richer as their assets inflate in value, and the wages of the working
Money is
people, the
worthless
laborers
paper
of the
unless it's
land,
backed
are
by something.
diluted
You're right, Gun Fox.
in the process. That's why I'm going to continue to ask tough questions to find out not just what our government is doing with our money, but to our money, because it's becoming increasingly clear that our financial decision makers in government are making money, but they are not making sense.
And this is why I really like this guy and why I would like him to be in a different position than he is. So, let's see. Why do I have YouTube Premium Massive Creations broadcast? Because it helps the people that I subscribe to, and the ads are a pain in the ass while I'm trying to read or watch videos live on stream. Okay, next story. Next item. Okay, here we go. So this is something apparently that happened in a Toronto hospital. Video captures patient crawling out of hospital after a staff dismissed pleas for help. Well then. That's awful. Let's see, will this work? Or will I get an ad? Or is it just a silent? Yeah, it's just a silent. So this guy's crawling out of the hospital. Let's see. This should be interesting. Yes. So, yeah, that guy was crawling out of the hospital. So David Pontone crawls out of Humber River Hospital, told to leave despite excruciating leg pain. So here we go. Let's take a listen to this.
David Pontone's voice still shakes as he recalls having to crawl out of Toronto's Humber River Hospital on his hands and knees. The pain was unbearable, said Pontone. To be able to walk properly was impossible. You are currently...
Wow.
It happened on April 18, 2018, but involved a lengthy battle for his family to obtain video footage of the event. You are currently...
Oh, really?
The 45-year-old had gone to emergency, complaining of excruciating pain in his legs. Pontone also told medical staff he took medication for bipolar affective disorder, a mental illness that causes severe depression and episodes of mania, but that he'd been stable for 7 years. He says that disclosure affected his treatment.
Really? I've heard of stuff like this happening before.
They thought I was faking it because I was bipolar, Pontone told Go Public. There are no words to describe what I went through that night.
Wow.
List 1 item. Bullet. Link. To end of bullet. One of Canada's leading psychiatric experts says overlooking serious physical health issues in people who struggle with mental illness is a widespread problem, and that it can severely shorten their lifespans. Chrome has new...
Yeah, because a lot of people will say, "Oh, you have this mental illness. Oh, you must be imagining your pain, or you must be faking your pain, or yeah, it."
We are failing this population miserably, said Dr. Vicky Sturgiopoulos, psychiatrist and physician-in-chief at the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, CAMH. In Watch vertical line video show. Videos play. Heading from for end up. Video. Duration 2. End closed captions of end up. End up. CBC News has obtained surveillance video of a man forced to crawl away from a Toronto area hospital after being refused treatment. The video has raised questions about how people with mental health issues are treated when they need medical help.
I bet it has. And it should. It absolutely should raise questions. Because there are lots of problems with how people who are mentally ill are treated.
201. They go in for a broken leg and get sent to psychiatry to check their head. Pontone says he hopes sharing his story will prevent others from experiencing an ordeal like his. You are currently...
Well, good for him for talking about
I
it.
was mistreated, misjudged. It should never be repeated with any person, he said.
No, it shouldn't.
When Pontone arrived at emergency, he was seen by a doctor who ordered an MRI but also referred him to an on-call psychiatrist after learning about his mental illness. Pontone reacts to seeing closed-circuit video from the hospital of his ordeal, Michael/CBC. In medical records obtained by GoPublic, the psychiatrist noted that anxiety seemed to be Pontone's most dominant symptom, despite Pontone having said he was in a great deal of pain and had been suffering from increasing leg pain for a month. You are currently... Another note says the reason for Pontone's visit is bipolar, not his inability to walk.
Wow. That's disgraceful. That's absolutely just awful.
When the MRI didn't find anything unusual, the psychiatrist discharged Pontone. As soon as they got the results, they took off the blankets and started saying, "Come on, get up. You're fine, there's nothing wrong with you," said Pontone.
Wow.
Heading level 2. Video cameras
That's
the exit
ridiculous.
captured Pontone as he was ordered to leave. The footage shows Pontone lying on the hallway floor, struggling to stand. As he gets to his hands and knees and crawls toward the exit, a nurse walks next to him, escorting him out. Passers-by stop to look at the spectacle, but the nurse encourages Pontone to keep going. You are currently...
Holy shit. A nurse is okay with watching a man crawl out of the hospital. Yep. Exactly, Robbie. Exactly. This is awful.
Pontone is seen lying on his back near a hospital exit, unable to walk due to excruciating leg pain, Humber River Hospital. The nurse kept saying, "You're a big boy. You're strong. Come on, big boy. Stand up," said Pontone. You are currently on it.
Jesus Christ.
I've always been a gentleman, but I was angry. I felt totally helpless.
I bet. I would be livid if I was him. That's disgusting.
It took Pontone about 20 minutes to reach the exit. A security guard later helped him to a waiting taxi. He says the doctors had made him think his pain was all in his head, so a few days later, he made his way to CAMH, where a psychiatrist immediately determined that his suffering had nothing to do with his mental health. An ambulance took him to Toronto Western Hospital in downtown Toronto, where a neurologist diagnosed Guillain-Barré syndrome, a rare disorder in which the body's immune system attacks the nerves. You are currently on a text element.
Wow. Holy shit. I hope that's not life-threatening. No shit.
5 weeks later,
But
the
this
family
isn't...
met with Humber management. They hadn't seen the video yet, but Chief Nursing Executive Vanessa Perkowski had screened it and told them she was disturbed by what she saw. You are currently...
This is not federal health. We don't have federal health care.
Lucia Pontone says she was in disbelief when she saw the footage of her son crawling out of Humber River Hospital, Michael/CBC. David Pontone's voice still shakes as he recalls having to crawl out of Toronto's Humber River Hospital on his head. The pain was unbearable, said... David Pontone's voice still shakes as he
So
the
yeah,
pain was
this is just absolutely disgusting of the Humber River Hospital. Yeah, absolutely. Malpractice for sure. Absolutely. All right. Next story. We're gonna go into science mode. All right. Let's get over here to the shared screen. Man, I am having like changing my meds is really fucking with me. Like I came off completely my other meds on last Wednesday. So they're just coming out of my system, and I'm like increasing the dose of my new meds to the standard, to my full dose. And it's really throwing me for a loop. No, it should not. That psychiatrist is awful. Okay. So we're going to look at this article, and then unfortunately I am going to end after this article and go make some more coffee. Cause holy fuck, I'm fading. Like, as these meds balance me out, they're making me, like, as I'm going through them, I'm getting very drowsy, so it sucks. It would be worse if I had taken them this morning, though, so I'm taking them at night. Aw, damn it, paywall. Oh, it put me at the bottom of the page. That's what's going on here. Well, that sucks. Come on. I just want the article, god damn you. Okay, it looks like I'm not gonna get the text of the article here. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So we are going to read about the first extinction event. Alright, here we go.
Some mass extinctions unfold like a sloppy murder, leaving clear fingerprints for the keen investigator to uncover. Asteroids are no masters of subtlety. The late Ordovician mass extinction, the oldest of all and the second most lethal, isn't one of them. Though there is a standard explanation for this grand addy of death involving an ancient ice age, the evidence is cryptic enough that experts are still submitting new theories for how 85% of all marine species suddenly sank into oblivion. You are currently on it. The planet's first death knell sounded 444 million years ago, near the end of the link. Or you are currently the planet's first link, Ordovician period.
Ordovician, okay.
Star simple forms of life, mainly bacteria and archaea, had already flourished for 3 billion years. Complex life, on the other hand, had only just hit its stride. In the link sequence of geologic time, the Ordovician follows the link Cambrian period.
Okay.
Well known for the evolutionary explosion of the same name that populated the world with nearly all the modern animal phyla, the major branches we now see in the tree of life, the ranks of vertebrates, mollusks, arthropods, and other broad taxonomic groups still familiar to us today were growing and diversifying at an extraordinary rate, until their abrupt downfall, that is.
All right. Okay. So the Cambrian came before the Ordovician. Okay. Oh, I couldn't find the X. Hey, Leo Prime.
Frame 3. Busy, busy. Frame 5. Busy. The Ordovician is a very interesting time period, says Seth Finnegan, a biologist at the University of California, Berkeley, because you have one of the largest and most rapid biodiversification events, and also one of the largest mass extinction events. Both of them are clearly tied up in physical changes to the environment. Chrome has
Interesting.
heading level 2, ice, fire, and deformities. At the time, most of Earth's dry land was merged together in the supercontinent of Gondwana, which had drifted so far south that it hovered over the pole like present-day Antarctica. To the north,
Oh,
there
wow.
were a few minor continents, notably Laurentia, which includes most of North America, and Baltica, which includes the Baltic region and part of Russia, that dotted the tropical and temperate regions around the equator. You are currently
Okay.
Plants and animals were perhaps beginning to venture above water, though nothing near the extent that they would in the coming eras. By and large, most of the action was still happening under the sea, where trilobites, corals, and other primordial ocean dwellers prospered like never before. 3D illustration of a Camrosaurus at sea, Shutterstock image.
So here's an image.
Camrosaurus, named
Camrosaurus.
meaning chambered horn, is an extinct orthoconic, straight-shelled, cephalopod that lived during the Ordovician period. They were likely a top predator of their time. Credit, Est Abond Armis/Shutterstock.
Pretty cool.
Then came their demise. In conventional wisdom, it consisted of two distinct pulses, chrome, separated by roughly a million years. First, glaciers engulfed Gondwana and the planet cooled dramatically, chilling the tropics and mid-latitudes. Sea levels plummeted hundreds of feet. This destroyed vast stretches of the warm, shallow water habitat that sustained much marine life. Then, in the second pulse, the glaciers melted, the planet warmed, and the ocean rose. The species that had just adapted to the cold struggled once again to evolve fast enough.
Okay.
It's unclear what triggered that icy advance. Some studies suggest weathering of silicate rocks, especially in the rising Appalachian Mountains, could have drawn down atmospheric carbon dioxide, lowering global temperatures. Others implicate the expansion of plants, which could have absorbed greenhouse gases while also speeding up silicate weathering. One theory posits that a gamma ray burst, by converting nitrogen and oxygen into sun-blocking smog, may have brought on the glaciers. Chrome has
That's an interesting theory.
Frame 7. You are currently on frame 7. Frame 9. 2015 paper. That links some depths to changing ocean chemistry. They found fossilized plankton with fatal deformities dating to the event, suggesting the release of toxic metals like iron and lead from the ocean depths may have been an important kill mechanism. Chrome has
Interesting. Iron and lead.
some evidence in recent years even points the finger at glaciation's elemental opposite. Volcanism. The Ordovician extinction, if caused by the cooling climate, would be an outlier. Extreme volcanic activity is widely accepted as a main catalyst in most other mass die-offs, since it leads to inhospitable global warming. Now, with the discovery of mercury deposits from the era, the telltale signature of eruptions has surfaced in this extinction too. Rewriting the story with a fiery culprit would make the late Ordovician stand out less, Finnegan says, though he's not convinced yet. Chrome has
Okay, so it may have frozen and then volcanoes may have erupted to break the ice? That was when the aliens came and started messing with the Earth creatures' DNA. They're turning the frogs gay!
smoke swirling from a volcanic eruption, hot lava, Shutterstock image, credit, heading level 2. While scientists are unsure why the majority of species died at this moment, they do understand how those deaths influence the progression of life. Many extinctions jolt evolution off its course, allowing a host of new organisms to rise from the ashes and fill new niches in a new environment, but not so with the Ordovician extinction. Chrome has the resulting fauna had ecologic patterns similar to the fauna that had become extinct.
What's up? What?
Writes Peter Sheehan. a paleontologist at the University of Wisconsin, Madison. Other extinction events that eliminated similar or even smaller percentages of species had greater long-term ecologic effects. That's because those long-term effects depend on which level of the taxonomic ladder an extinction acts upon. You are frame 9. Frame 13. The O division, for link, Cretaceous. The O division, for example, eliminated 85% of all species, but only 60% of genera and 25% of families, the next two levels of classification. Since some members survived in most families, life went on more or less as it would have anyway. You are currently on a text element. Link, Cretaceous Paleogene extinction. The Cretaceous Paleogene extinct, in contrast, dethroned both orders, an even higher tier of taxonomy, of the dominant dinosaurs, the natural hierarchy inverted, and mammals rose to power.
Huh. Interesting.
So, even though it was deadlier than all mass extinctions but the Permian, also known, grimly, as the Great Dying, the O division didn't leave much of an impression. It killed many individual organisms, but decimated no so-called mascot groups, nothing of dinosaur, or even ammonite, stature. Chrome has...
Interesting. So it killed a lot of individual organisms, but not families or groups, like biologically. I know I couldn't close it, but this article is done. So um 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 let's close that. So that is going to be the stream, guys, because it's 1 o'clock and I need to go have something to eat and have some more coffee. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to try and do one on Wednesday with Functional for Canadian Wednesdays. And I also am going to attempt to do a Beat the Blind Girl tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Yeah, from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. So come and watch that. And of course, Minions of the Zoo tomorrow night at 11:30. I will be there. I hope you guys had a good time with me, and I sure had a good time hanging out with you guys today. And I will be back on Wednesday. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you then.